Should we talk about my Schulz appearance?
Yes. So Andrew's good as a he has this real skill. Andrew Shulz we're talking about.
We're talking about Andrew Shulz. If you don't know, he's got a podcast called Flagrant. I'm sure it's been out. I have not said anything about it, but I had it was a roller coaster of emotions.
He's done this before, by the way, with I forget somebody else was coming on that I know, and he it's a clever like producing move where he'll be like, so and so's coming on, anything to like bring up, anything that would be fun to talk about, and so you kind of go like, oh, this or that, and then with you, I feel like the question was more. I thought it was more pointed. Like, is there anything that's like? I'll even look it up. But he asks this, right? He's like, what's and when you realize that when somebody does like this question for their show, you're like, oh, this is actually a really effective way to gain insight that they would otherwise, and it doesn't take long to ask this, right?
Yeah. So
he's like, what is something interesting, funny, weird we can tap into about him? And I'm like, well, he hates clowns and balloons. And he's like, what? And I go, he hates them. So we go back and forth about it. And I was like, and then I go, I tell him, if you do that at the beginning, you might not have a podcast. So I go,
it was a very accurate insight.
I told him, I go, if you do that at the beginning, you might not have. Did he do the beer thing?
Yeah, that's stupid.
Okay, well, I was like, that's funny. It's a funny concept.
Had he just done the beer thing, I think that would have been hilarious. But hang on, let me rephrase.
And let me tell you, look, I said, balloons, if you do that, or clowns, I do it near the end if you're going to surprise him. Because he'll get all jittery and not. I tell him.
Well,
like,
you made a very accurate aside.
Yeah.
I did not. The beer thing was funny. The beer thing was funny because they.
Well, tell them what it is.
So he gave me non-alcoholic beer, and they all drank non-alcoholic beer, and I was like, gosh, I thought like I knew he didn't drink, so I was like, what? It's not that he's drinking. So I was like, whatever. They give me non-alcoholic beer.
Like if you're in a writer's room and they go, Bert Kreischer's coming in, what if we all drank regular beers and gave him? It's a very funny concept.
It would have been very funny. It was overwhelmed by my reaction to the clown.
Did he? Okay, now here's my question. Did it happen early or late? Because I haven't seen it yet.
The clowns. Send in the clowns. It happened in the middle of the podcast.
Okay.
And I shut down. I mean, I don't know how they've edited it.
Is there a reason? I know we've talked about. You don't know why you don't like them?
I got to be dead honest with you. I don't know why I behaved the way I did. I have no control over it.
Does a 6-year-old Bert Kreischer hate clowns? Like, is that?
Yeah. I've always hated clowns.
It's not that unusual. The weird one, for sure, is balloons.
Yeah. And I got to be honest with you. I think the balloons were worse than the clown. For me,
it was one clown, right?
One clown. It was his producer, Dove, or his manager, his buddy, Dove. And Dove, I will tell you, I'm going to tell you privately, but publicly, I think they felt really horrible
because of how much you shut down.
I shut down, Tom. I haven't seen the clip. I was there. I shut down. I was angry, but I also was aware that I was being filmed, and there is an entertainer part of me.
Yeah.
Even in my worst, we ended up talking about phobias. I did not know I was going to get this bad. I really didn't. I wish I could. I'm really embarrassed of how bad I look because I mean it is asinine. It is asinine that I'm like I froze. I shut down. I couldn't move.
I cannot believe it's this intense.
I know. I mean, I wonder if I should see if Schulz can get us a clip. I bet he's got a clip.
Yeah, I'm sure he does.
Yeah. I think it's better if you
go
to his podcast. Go to Flagrant. You can watch it. We were having a good conversation, and he was asking me, he was like, what was it like in the old days doing Rogan? And it's interesting that all those guys. There's so much to unpack here because what's fascinating to me, a little sidebar, is we all got into podcasting because we not didn't like traditional radio, like morning zoos and stuff. And then as I'm about to say that, Andrew comes in with a morning zoo prank.
Sure.
Like it's a tradition.
There's a group of guys around.
And there's a group of guys. There's a wacky guy.
Yeah,
they're like, get in the clown. He's afraid of clowns. And I was fucking... I was shut down, and I immediately, my first reaction is, I want to get out of this room. But I knew there's a camera on me, and I knew I had a special to promote, and I knew that this was a very real thing. And I think it taps into my old Travel Channel days of even when I was shut down the hardest, I knew that, like, okay, here we go. I couldn't reel it back in for like 25 minutes. Like for 25 minutes, I was like, I didn't talk. I just sat there like rubbing my beard. And I mean, I was in a different world. I was waiting for it to happen again.
Jesus Christ.
And I couldn't, and it's, I understand how absolutely silly I look because it's so
irrational.
It's so irrational. And then I would argue that we got into a pretty, I don't know, I haven't seen the episode, but from my impression, and this is why I'm cool with it, we got into a pretty great conversation about phobias.
Yeah.
And about irrational phobias. And
do you have other ones?
I'll never say them out loud.
Well,
I will never. But
you do have other irrational phobias?
Yes. Oh yeah. I am number one. I will never do anyone's podcast.
Ever again?
I think I'm done. I think I'm going to do this one in mine because I was like, now everyone knows they can get a viral clip by bringing in a fucking clown. I'm going to be fucking chased by clowns. It's going to be like the movie It. Like I was like, I'll do like the guys I know, but I'm never fucking like the first. My first thing was I am never doing Logan Paul's podcast. And I wanted to so bad. I wanted to so bad because I think he's got a great podcast. I like those guys.
Yeah.
But I'm like, Logan Paul's way too fucking smart to not bring a fucking clown in the room or 100 clown. You know, Logan Paul.
That's the thing is it wouldn't be one.
It wouldn't be one. It is going to be, and the joke now is so funny that if Logan, by the way, Logan Paul's like, I had an invite to do his podcast and I was excited. I was really excited. I like Prime.
Yeah.
Him and his brother make me laugh hard as fuck when they're together.
Yeah.
I think the kid's smart as fucking shit, and I was excited to do his podcast, but I was like, the joke now would be, he'd be like, I definitely am not bringing in a clown, and then I go, okay, and then he's like, I brought in clowns, like that's the joke.
There's 45 clowns outside.
45 clowns outside.
Yeah.
I won't be comfortable doing, and I feel bad because I was so out of control. I go, I'm definitely the first thing I said is, it just came to my head. I go, I'm not doing Logan Paul's podcast. And
do scary makeup clowns, are those worse than, you know what I mean? Like, there's ones that are like evil looking clowns. Yeah. Are those worse?
Yeah. I don't even thinking about it. But I'm because now I'm thinking about it, and I just is like it just bothers me, and I wish I knew why. Like someone said they have a phobia of cotton balls, and I was like, whoa, that's fucking ridiculous. But then mine's just as ridiculous.
No, that's cotton balls is more ridiculous. Cotton balls is just a fucking object. How does that even?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, balloons is ridiculous.
Balloons is ridiculous.
And you're like, you don't smell that?
Oh, I smelled them the second they got in the room. The second they got in the room, I smelled them immediately, and then they fucking let them go up by the light. They were like, this is how callous they were. They brought in the balloons and then let them go, and the balloons, like a fucking balloon, just went everywhere. And they just find the hottest little area, and now I'm waiting for it to pop, and it's unpredictable, and it's just sitting there.
And does the popping bother you?
Oh my God, that's the thing.
Really?
That's the thing. That's the.
So did you ever get balloons for the girls when it was their birthday?
The girls have never had balloons. My daughters have never had balloons.
Never.
Go to fucking Ralph's. Does your daughter want a balloon? No, she doesn't. Ask me. Don't ask her. Ask me. No, she doesn't want a balloon.
Bert and Tom and Bert. One goes topless while the other wears a shirt. Tom tells stories and Bert's the machine. There's not a chance in hell that they'll keep it clean. Here's what we call 2 bears, 1 cave.